Hi everybody, this is Patrick from Sasquatch in the Wild. So this is the last installment of this weekend. Let's start out where we were. So we were in Mike's tent, and Mike and Trenton were asleep, and I laid there in my cot, and I could hear something coming out of the trees and kind of moving around my car, going around it. And I could hear it. I could hear them like in that zone. But I didn't feel that they were coming up to the tent at all. I didn't get that sensation that they were going to pay us a visit or any of that stuff. And eventually I just drifted off and fell asleep. So the very next morning, I wake up, I hear Mike stirring around, and I get up, and he's getting ready to make breakfast and stuff. I go out to my car, and after getting dressed, of course, and I would go out towards the car, and on the window of the passenger side, I saw fingerprints, and the fingerprints were kind of like this, but they were weird. The way it was placed, it was strange. Actually, I think it may have been I think it was the left hand that was touching my car, because the thumb was facing forward towards the front of the car. But what was really weird was that the thumb was really drastically bent. Whereas I can't bend my thumb like that, but this thing, whatever it was, the thumb itself, the pad part of it, was bent strange. Really strange. It was really strange. But when I put my hand up to it to try to touch it, between the thumb and this finger, there's no way I could match any of those two fingerprints. It was just physically impossible. So I went over and I showed it to Mike, and Trenton got up, and all of us were looking at that print on my car. So we ended up eating breakfast, and I said we should go back down and, look at all that stuff, see if the food is there, if it's gone or not. And he said, okay. So we all went back down into the valley, and I looked down at the log as we came up to it, and all my stuff that was in that log was gone. And I was like, well, that's cool. So then we walked over to where Mike put the bowl that had the strawberries and the plate that had the spaghetti and the brats. As we're walking up to it, there are some things that have changed in that area. So the bowl, once again, was no longer sitting on top of the woven bowl, part of the roots and stuff. It was now back down inside, because we all looked down and again and went, yep, there it is. We pulled the bowl back out, and we kind of set it down, and then we looked at the plate. Now the plate was almost like if this was the bowl, like the round part of the woven part of the bowl, the plate was right near there. But when we went down there, the plate was further up the trunk. So we looked at it, and you can see like there was some spaghetti that was pulled out and kind of strung out, almost about, I'd say, somewhere between 2 to 3 feet away from the plate. The photograph only shows some of the noodles kind of hanging off of it and into the bark of the tree trunk. But we were looking at it going, where's all the brats? Because when they took it down, we had 4 brats that we had cut into pieces. When we started looking at the spaghetti, we realized that some of the brats were sitting inside the spaghetti. Like, they took the spaghetti and went, nope, we don't want to eat this. And they just covered it all back over, just like a kid does with broccoli, where they bury it in the potatoes, like, I ate my broccoli, it's all gone. No, they did the same thing. And so we kind of looked at the pieces, and I was like, Mike, it doesn't look like they ate all the brats. And he's like, yeah, that doesn't look right. So we were thinking about it, and one of us said something like, well, maybe it was just too spicy for him, because I said it was spicy for me. And I looked at Trent and I said, you thought it was spicy? And Trent said, yeah. And Mike said, yeah, I thought it was kind of spicy too. I said, well, now imagine if they've never eaten spice before. Anything was like spicy hot. And they've eaten it, and it went down into their stomach. It's either going to give them acid reflux, and that's something they've never experienced probably before. and or because now it's hot and they don't know what this is. So so they probably went and just covered it over and said, nope, that is not our food. We don't want to eat that ever again. Never again. And tomato sauce may not be necessarily good for them. So we ended up packing all that stuff back up. We took it back up to the campsite, and we tore down the campsite and everything, and we ended up heading back home. This was a short video, really, really short. But the next video, I've been debating back and forth what I want to talk about. At first, I thought about talking about the ground art, and that's way up there on my food chain. Like, I want to talk about it. But at the same time, I know a lot of people have a hard time getting a Sasquatch to come to the campsite, and I want to give you some things to try out. And I'm going to talk about that. Let's see, this is the Sunday's video. I'll talk about that one, or release that video on Wednesday and explain it. Now, if my phone doesn't keep giving me problems, I'll probably have a new phone, and hopefully I will be able to keep pumping videos out. I don't know how to actually do the video editing on a Android, because I'm looking at either updating this phone, which is an iPhone 11 Pro Max, to either a iPhone 14. I don't know if I'm going to do an iPhone 15 just yet. Or I'll flip it and go straight towards the Android Ultra Max, or whatever it's called, the Ultra S something or other, which is supposed to be a beefier phone. So I don't know which way I'm going to do it yet. I'm still up in arms. But every time I try to save something in here and post it onto YouTube, I can delete all the pictures in the world, which I have. And on my phone, I think I've got about this many photographs. And every time I delete those photographs, my iCloud dumps more photographs back onto my phone, which will swell it all back up again. And that adds up. So I get that back down to this again. And when I eliminate those photos again, then something in the apps go, and they'd start taking up all that extra space all over again. And it's frustrating me. The only two apps that I know that are sucking the living life out of my phone right now is YouTube and YouTube Studio. Outside of that, I don't know what's doing it. I've gone through everything. I checked everything. I've eliminated things. I deleted the cache. I've done all kinds of crap to it. And I cannot get that to drop down below 50 gigs. So again, my name is Patrick, and I hope you're enjoying the journey. And I think it's time for me to go. So I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.